We've had guys, if you want to ask a question, you can type it in the Q&A. I've had guys raise their hand and then giving them the microphone to talk and ask some questions. So really, like to keep this loose. I don't really have a formal agenda. Just like to field some questions and just chat.
Sweet. Hello. Ooh, we have someone here from Pennsylvania. They have a Wood-Mizer LT40 and interested in getting into kiln drying. So, Paul, what's the first thing you usually say to people when, like, I bet you have them coming to you all the time with that question. Like, what do you say?
Yep. Well, it's it's important for me to understand where you are at with your business, what your goals are with your business, what are you trying to accomplish? And, honestly, a lot of the work starts before you even buy the kiln. And that's just doing some market research, calling some local guys with sawmills, getting in touch with vendors of wood products, like go to your local farmers market, see who's cutting boards, talk to them. Start doing some research and digging into it before you pull the trigger is a great way to go. I see Eric Burris is on here. He's a legend at that. I talked to Eric for a couple of years, I think, just feeling out the business, and then he did pull the trigger on a kiln. It's going to be getting delivered sometime soon, so it's exciting.
That's awesome. I think too, cool. One of the things, and we've been talking about this more as we're starting the marketing program for iDRY customers. If you're doing your research and you're curious about the competition, go ahead and Google, kiln dryers near me or wood drying near me. I wouldn't Google like an iDRY near me necessarily, but just see what kiln dryers are in your area by doing that. And whether or not they are there, if they don't pull up when you Google search, well, then you're already a step ahead, because you can go ahead and get yourself listed on Google and be found before they are. So that's one of the ways. I know some people, we used to have a map up, and I'm actually going to go, a map up, but instead it's much more effective for you to honestly just Google search, see what you have near you, call some people, and you'd be surprised, find out what the need is, like Paul said, in your area. What about like buildings and stuff? What do they need to sorry.
It depends. So I just want to touch a little bit first on that marketing. I was on vacation last week, the week before. Either way, Jim, the owner, and Jess hopped on and talked about our new marketing program. You should really watch that if you haven't. It's going to be super important to take our industry to the next level of what it could be. Really, this whole urban lumber, small manufacture of wood products it's still fairly new. Like, we are at the beginning of what it could be. And really, with this marketing program, we're trying to take everything to the next level. And the most frustrating thing to me is when I talk to a guy, you'll never see a company more invested in the success of their customers than iDRY. We are 100% focused on making sure you're a successful business. Self-servingly, we know the industry's huge. We know that if you do it well, you'll buy another kiln. But ultimately, we want you to be able to be happy making a living doing what you want to do. And the most frustrating thing to me is when I had customers when it's busy and everything's crazy, word of mouth works. But I did have a couple guys call me up and said, "Hey, Paul, things have gotten a little slower." And I'm like, okay. And then I Google them and I can't find them online. I can't find any social media. It's like the company doesn't exist besides us knowing about them and maybe a few other people. And really, that's got to change. We got to, and with this program Jessica's putting together, it gives us the ability to do this really affordably and to help build this business and this industry that we know is going to be thriving for a long time. But anyways, sorry.
Oh, that was great.
Get
I
off my
mean,
pedestal here.
no, to kind of bounce off of that real quick. Sorry, because now you have me going.
Yeah,
Yeah, Paul's right. It's first of all, yeah, affordable, and secondly, it's not going to be or it isn't something where you're going to be in an office all day making TikToks. You know, we're not going to make you in spreadsheets and building websites, and that's one of the beauties of it. It's much more geared toward bringing you leads directly, so you don't have to focus on your marketing, and it's just done for you. And then if you want to learn more, we're going to have monthly coaching calls. If you want to learn enough to get your feet wet, or if you want to keep going, we're going to have courses and whatnot. But however deep into it you want to go or not go, but that's at justgrowmarketing.com if anyone wants to check it out. But anyway, that's it. All right.
Yeah, check it out. And we realize that guys want to be building furniture. They want to be running their LT40. They want to be drying wood. They want to be doing what they like, and marketing most likely for a lot of guys isn't one of them. It wouldn't be for me. So, but I did want to open this up. Anybody on here have any questions about kilns, kiln drying, the business? Feel free to jump in, chat away, or I'll just
do have a
talking.
question in the Q&A from Ken McDonald. He said, thick stock mahogany drying recipe. Said, do you have one for an iDRY?
Okay. So with iDRYs, we don't have a lot of drying recipes. We don't have formulas that other kilns have. I mean, if you think of a conventional or a dehumidification kiln, what you're doing is you're monitoring the relative humidity outside of the wood. That's your tool to dry faster or slower, and you need to monitor that very closely. Really, with an iDRY, all we do is we create an environment where each species dries as quick as possible, as safely as possible. And really, the way we do that, of course, there's the pressure difference. Water boils at lower temperatures at higher elevations, and we dry wood in a damp environment, and which just seems counterintuitive, but we call that conditioning the wood. So there's a few things that you can do, and that's going lower speeds when the wood is wet. You can do that using low power mode. You can manually set the temperature to 130 degrees, but then as the drying process goes on, extending the drain cycles, I've talked about it before, it's super important. Just the wood has enough water to give up. We need to keep the outside of the wood damp to be able to keep conducting moisture from the center to the exterior. There's only a few things you can adjust with a vacuum kiln. Time inside of the kiln, temperature, drain cycles, like that's it. So no, we don't have a specific recipe for thick stock mahogany. We might have some customers who have dried it, but yeah, I hope that helps a little bit. Eric, do iDRY owners prefer to have the track outside of the building or inside the building? Trying to arrange a 36 by 72 building for delivery. Are the elements an issue for dried wood when they first come out of the kiln? When the wood first comes out of the kiln, it's not an issue. You don't want to leave it outside for an extended period of time. And it depends. If you have a large building, having the entire operation inside, especially in a colder climate, is nice. That would be my preference. But with that being said, if your space is limited and you want to have dry wood storage and you want to have other equipment, put the track outside. You're out there for a small period of time. You're just loading and unloading the kiln. Save your space in the shop. We will say Ed Parsons in one of his interviews said having level ground out where your track is super important when you're picking up stacks and loads. So that's something to consider. How is the space outside of the shop? If it's a mud hole, if it's unlevel, maybe I would prefer having it inside. But there's no right or wrong answer. But you do want to get dry wood out of the elements as quick as possible. But having it outside is not a huge deal. What's the cheapest setup to heat the kiln? Boiler or electric? Well, it really. So it depends on where you are. The iDRY standard is about 3.5 kilowatts an hour. The iDRY Plus is about 5 kilowatts an hour. Here in Vermont, electric's going up. Everywhere in the country it's going up. But if you're in an area where electric is 14, 15, 16 cents, electric is cheap. It's easy. It responds instantaneously to heat changes. You can just kick an element on or kick it off. Basically no maintenance. It works. It's really well. Keep it simple. However, I'm starting to get customers with rising electric costs. You know, California, I have customers in Hawaii where they're talking about 30 cents to or higher per kilowatt. In that case, electric or a boiler and a heating coil works great. And, you know, since you asked the question, we had stainless steel heating coils that are really expensive. They work well, but we are actually in the process of designing a less expensive copper fin tube coil that can be easily replaced. And the units are going to be a combination electric with the boiler setup, if that's what you want. So it has the ability, not only can the boiler carry most of the load and then we can trim out with electric, but we can change out the heating coils much easier and quicker and keep the cost down. So maybe the combination unit. It depends on what electric costs are in your area. Your boiler, we don't care. Is your boiler oil fired or propane? I got to remember people can't read the questions that I see who listen to this later. We don't care. It's an inlet and an outlet. We give you a BTU requirement that the boiler needs to make, and you just hook it up. That's it. We have really outdoor wood boilers are great because some of our customers have an excess of scrap wood that they want to take advantage of and that they are already taking advantage of. Just think of the kiln as like a zone in your house or a zone for an existing building. If you have a large heating system heating another building, just have your plumber, and if you have enough BTUs available, just have your plumber hook it up to the kiln. It's a great idea, boiler electric combination. Thank you, Monty. I'd like to say I had a part in that. So, Eric, can those combo units mentioned be easily retrofitted for the boiler? We need to ship them from the factory because we need to weld some holes and flanges where the pipes get connected. You could do it probably in the field, but if you did want it, I know you got an order in, Eric, we could chat about that. Yeah, so I recommend ordering it from the factory because you would need to have somebody come in and cut holes and weld, and then I'm not sure about the computer system requirements for. I'd probably have to talk to Brian about that, but I would order it from the factory like that. Yeah. Monty, did that answer your question? We don't care where you get the heat from. Boiler, electric. Oh, is that sorry, that was Justin. We don't care. We don't care where the heat source comes from. Cool. So is everybody staying busy this spring? I know it's been here in New England, we're welcoming the warm weather. All right, enough small talk. Good. We get another question. Say I get electric first. Can I add my outdoor boiler after I'm setting up kiln off site? There's only 2,000 square foot warehouse and it's not done yet. Yeah, so jump back in. Most likely we could set up something so you can add it after. Not going to be super easy. Recommend doing it right from the factory, but I'm sure it can be done. Anything can be done. It's just time and money, and I don't know how much. So again, I can find that out for you. All right. Next week or 2 weeks, next time we do this, we're going to have our finance guy, Jeff, jump back on. He did it one with me last month, and he was able to um, actually assess a guy's financial situation. He didn't think he could get a kiln. But he did have a farm in his name, and he was able to use his farm to buy a kiln. And this kiln either already got delivered last week or it's getting delivered soon. Um, what would dehumidifier about pest management? 60 minutes for an hour. Monty, I'm not sure about the dehumidifier uh, portion of that, but you're talking about sterilizing wood. Um, so typically, for lumber, the requirement is 135 degrees at the core for 60 minutes or something like that. I'd have to look it up. And through our normal kiln drying process, uh, the wood should get up to that temperature depending on what thickness, how long it's been in there. But we finish at 160 degrees ambient temperature, which puts the kiln, the wood, at that 135 degree mark. And we'll add the caveat to that. If you're doing firewood, the requirement is 160 degrees at the core for a couple hours or something. We did get the stamp of approval from our state agency. You need to call your state agency and have them come and inspect your process. We used our wireless wood core sensor. And really, the way we get the wood temp at 160 at the core is we changed the vacuum to 20, which just puts more oxygen in the chambers, which allows the air to heat up hotter with the existing heating elements that we have. Again, you only really need to do that for firewood, but it can be done. I believe Brian said it was 2 hours for the first inch and then about an hour for every inch after that to get it to that 160 degrees. I'd want to confirm on that 2 hours part. But yeah, we can get it for firewood or for lumber. You don't even have to think about it typically. I actually just had a customer call me yesterday. They actually chatted with me and said that they had a customer who had a uh, table that was epoxied and there was beetles trying to crawl out of it. And he asked if he could sterilize the epoxy table in the kiln. And which I guess that highlights two things: the importance of drying wood and killing bugs. The last thing, if this industry is going to take a piece of the big pie, smaller operations, we need to do a good job at educating people about the quality of wood. And then we need to do a good job at getting quality wood out there and not having this experience of people having a piece of furniture made and a bug crawling out of it. And anyways, I didn't know the answer of what it would do to the epoxy if you put it in for a sterilization cycle. I'm not sure if it would change the color. I don't know anything about the heat tolerances of epoxy, but it does highlight the importance of our business and what we need to do, and that there's still education that needs to happen to the general public. But yeah, pretty cool. All right.
I saw that question come up, Paul. I remember that. And that was crazy to me. I couldn't imagine if I went and spent, I mean, let's say minimum $1,200 on a beautiful table.
Yep.
And then, oh my word.
Yeah.
And I wonder what common that is.
I talk to guys all the time that are selling. They're like, "Oh, I do an okay job selling green slabs, but I think I could get some more money for them dry." And I'm thinking to myself, I mean, yeah, you're doing okay, but what about? I hope you're educating the customers that they're still going to have to wait a decent amount of time. It's probably never going to get to that 7% even air dried, and then you could still have bugs. Bug life cycle is a couple of years that it could even survive in the wood depending on some conditions. So yeah, it's super important. Justin, I do have a boiler here at the shop. Might be easier just to set it up for a boiler right from the get-go. You know how many BTUs are needed? I believe it's only 50,000 BTUs for the standard and about 100,000 BTUs for the plus. I can if you email me, paul@idrysystems.com, I'll get you definite numbers on that, and I'll get you the price for adding the coils. But yeah, I really like the flexibility that you have to either run electric or gas or a hybrid of both, really. But yeah, email me, Justin, and I'll get the exact numbers. Rough quote, 50,000 BTUs for the standard, 100,000 BTUs for the plus. Cool.
Hey guys, we're about to wrap this up. We like to keep it pretty short with these Q&As since we know a lot of you are, like we said, on your lunch break. We're just trying to squeeze this in. So does anyone have any questions before we hop off? Any final thoughts?
Shoot 'em in. Yeah,
You
no
are
problem.
welcome.
Everybody here, just put my email in there. Eric, I know you got my number. Call me anytime with questions. We can chat about having your kiln converted to combination if you want. Yeah.
Thank you so much, you guys. And this happens every other week or every other Tuesday. So
we're bringing our finance guy back next week.
Sweet.
We're going to talk more about financing. Sorry, in 2 weeks. We're going to talk more about financing, share a success story. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Hey, thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks. Take care.
Bye.